bought a used car, and he found something that somebody left in the car, which was a list of 22 relationship rules that the previous car owner's girlfriend had laid out for this guy. And the guy posted it on the internet. This is real, and it became viral. Things like, you are not to have a single girl's phone number. You are not to look at a single girl. I am allowed to do a phone check whenever I please. You are not to get mad at me about a single thing I ever do. You are never to take longer than 10 minutes to text me back. You are not to ask for head. And this is real. So apparently this is catching on, and a lot of women are doing this now. We got a hold of Melania's list. I don't know if you'd like to, but these are her rules. But this Laura Loomer, I don't know if you know anything about her, but I mean, this is, yeah. I mean, I want to go through the list of conspiracy theorists, but we thought this would be a good week to get the audience to know her a little better. She's the new groupie in Trump's circle. That's my opinion.
Bill Maher just torched the internet with a roast so brutal, even Trump's bronzer looked like it was sweating. With that signature smirk and the kind of confidence only a man with nothing to lose can pull off, Maher took aim at Melania and Laura Loomer, delivering jabs so sharp they practically came with a warning label.
My name is that poor woman. I copied this list from Michelle Obama.
And Trump? Oh, he detonated. Within minutes, his keyboard was in critical condition from an all-caps meltdown, lashing out like a man who just found out his golf course is getting rezoned for a wind farm. Meanwhile, Maher, unfazed and probably sipping something expensive, just handed late-night TV another week's worth of material.
25 things you didn't know about Melania. In Slovenia, I was a catalog model, which is what you call a model you order out of a catalog. I have no first language. I hope I inspire little girls everywhere to marry for money. Oh, that's so sweet.
Bill Maher doesn't just crack jokes. He sharpens them like throwing knives, launching them with pinpoint accuracy and a smirk that says he already knows exactly where they'll land. His comedic arsenal isn't about cheap shots or random punches. It's a well-calibrated machine designed to hit exactly where it stings the most.
Bounce light off my diamond, Donald's hair will chase it like a cat. I wish I knew why I have a recurring dream I'm pinned beneath a giant orange sack of shit. And if I could tell my younger self just one thing, it would be this. If you catch a leprechaun and he gives you one wish, be more specific.
When he sets his sights on someone, you don't just get roasted, you become a full-blown comedic feast, served up hot for millions to devour. And this time, the special of the night, a Trump-inspired dish with a generous side of Melania and a sprinkle of Laura Loomer for garnish. Maher didn't just poke fun, he dismantled, deconstructed, and left no room for misinterpretation. The audience knew it was coming, but no one was quite prepared for just how deep Maher was about to cut.
So far, over a dozen Republican candidates tried to stop Trump and couldn't. Hillary couldn't. Never Trumpers couldn't. Mueller couldn't. Is there anyone left who can check Donald Trump? Yes, Melania. It's not anti-feminist to say that in addition to doing everything men can do intellectually, women also have another power, the power of the ultimatum. Getting men to change their destructive ways by threatening to leave them, humiliate them, or cut them off in bed, it's a tale as old as time. In the ancient Greek play Lysistrata, women end a war by denying sex to their men. It was the original Bush doctrine.
First came the warm-up. A few jabs to set the stage, get the audience comfortable, and prepare them for the main event. A light tease about Trump's ego, a little wink at his never-ending list of grievances, and the crowd was already in stitches. But Maher, a man who has never been content with just grazing the surface, went straight for the jugular. He painted a picture so vivid it was impossible not to visualize. A scenario where Melania, forever frozen in that mysterious blend of disinterest and contractual obligation, has perfected the art of appearing as if she's in an invisible hostage situation. The crowd roared, but Maher wasn't done. He dove straight into the absurdity of Laura Loomer's relentless, almost poetic obsession with proving her loyalty to Trump. An allegiance so aggressive, it could probably qualify as a full-time job with a benefits package.
Melania, the world needs you. President Hellboy has proved to be impervious to facts, reason, shame, and the law. But maybe if you left him for another man, especially if that man was Mexican.
This wasn't just a standard late-night monologue. Maher delivered each joke with the conviction of a seasoned storyteller who knew exactly how to frame his humor so that even those who normally tuned out political satire couldn't look away. His ability to balance sarcasm with brutal honesty is what sets him apart. He doesn't just poke fun at the absurd, he amplifies it, stretches it to its logical extreme, and makes you wonder why you never saw it that way before.
I don't hate all brown people, just the brown ones. People think I'm all in on Trump, but some of the voices in my head like Jill Stein. My hobby is refurbishing vintage lawn jockeys. I think Michael Jackson faked the moonwalking. If you say Beetlejuice 4 times, you get me.
And that's precisely why his humor lands with more impact than the usual late-night punchlines. While some comedians rely on exaggerated impressions or goofy caricatures, Maher opts for intellectual dissection. He doesn't create absurdity. He exposes the absurdity that already exists. His jokes don't just make people laugh, they make them think, reflect, and, in Trump's case, react in the most predictably unpredictable ways possible.
These are her rules. You are not to leave your girdle on the bathroom floor. You are not to ask for hand. You are not allowed to eat Wendy's in bed. Tell Wendy I can hear her. You are not to ever again mention the bride catalog's return policy.
Because if there's one thing Maher understands better than anyone, it's that nothing infuriates Trump more than being laughed at. The jokes themselves aren't even the problem. It's the idea that someone, somewhere, is making fun of him and getting away with it. That's what sends him into meltdown mode, firing off social media rants that only add to the spectacle. And Maher? He knows this game better than most. He lays the bait, watches the outrage unfold, and revels in the fact that he's once again turned a simple joke into a full-blown cultural moment. But perhaps the most impressive part of Maher's comedic artillery is how he never goes for the obvious. He doesn't just recycle the same Trump material that's been circulating for years. He finds new angles, fresh layers of ridiculousness, and delivers them in a way that feels both cutting and oddly insightful. It's not just comedy, it's commentary, a form of satire that leaves an impact long after the laughter dies down.
Every time I look at my husband, I'm reminded of the Slovenian national dish. That fat, greasy sausage filled with cheese. I once caught Mike Pence trying on my stilettos.
So while the jokes were flying and the crowd was losing it, somewhere in the background, Trump's team was probably scrambling, Melania was keeping a carefully measured poker face, and Laura Loomer was preparing her next loyalty pledge. And Maher? He was already onto his next joke, knowing full well that by the time the dust settled, he'd not only won the night, he'd secured another week of material, courtesy of the very people who can't seem to stop taking the bait. The internet reacts to a viral moment the way seagulls react to a single dropped French fry. Total chaos, zero mercy, and an unstoppable swarm of content creators ready to feast. The second Maher's joke landed. Twitter lit up like a malfunctioning Christmas tree. TikTok stitched together reaction videos at lightning speed, complete with dramatic reenactments, exaggerated voiceovers, and at least 3 conspiracy theories about what Melania was secretly thinking. And Instagram? Well, it did what it does best. turn the whole thing into aesthetically pleasing text posts that make even political drama look like an inspirational quote.
For example, my spirit animal was eaten by Haitians. My biggest fear is immigrants taking my job as a right-wing hate monger. As a child, I had 2 of my Bratz dolls deported.
But the real goldmine? The memes. They came in faster than anyone could process. Melania's poker face got photoshopped onto everything from the Mona Lisa to a stone-cold gargoyle. Loomer's reaction became a template for every over-the-top meltdown in history. And somewhere in the chaos, someone managed to edit Maher into a gladiator arena, standing victorious while Trump supporters threw digital tomatoes from the cheap seats. If memes were currency, the internet just hit the jackpot. Meanwhile, late-night hosts saw the opening and pounced like hungry lions in a stand-up comedy safari. It wasn't just Maher anymore. Kimmel, Colbert, and even the SNL writers' room suddenly had a brand new gift to unwrap. Each show took its turn adding fuel to the fire, remixing the original joke, poking at Trump's inevitable reaction, and throwing in a few jabs just to keep things spicy. If late-night television had a hall of fame for moments that write themselves, this saga would be getting its own wing.
I'm not saying that Trump doesn't care about his followers, but Trump is saying it.
And by the way, isn't that breeze nice? You feel the breeze? Because I don't want anybody going on me. We need every voter. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care. See, now the press will take that, and they'll say, he said a horrible thing.
Of course, if you say a horrible thing, people are going to say what you said is horrible. That's how words work. Next, they're going to say, I punched an old lady in the face just because, bam, oh! She went down fast, didn't she, folks? Get up, old lady. I'm working my ass off up here. I'm working my swampy ass.
And Maher? Oh, he's loving this. When a joke causes this much of a stir, there are only 2 ways to go. Backpedal and play it safe, or double down like a man with nothing to lose. If history is any indicator, Maher isn't exactly known for taking the polite exit. He's either cracking a follow-up joke as we speak, or sitting back with a glass of whiskey, watching the world burn with a smug grin. Either way, the damage has been done, and the aftershocks are just as entertaining as the original quake. That's the beauty of these cultural moments. They don't just end, they spiral. The outrage turns into more comedy, which turns into more outrage, which turns into an even bigger meme storm. It's an endless loop of internet gold, and at this point, there's no stopping it.
The laid-back countries. The ones where you ask room service for a bucket of ice and it comes as you're boarding the flight home. And yet they all manage to wrap up an election in the same amount of time that it takes a 90-day fiancé to say, sure, I'll fuck a fat guy for a green card. If TLC can do 90-day fiancé, we can do 90-day commander-in-chief. Because at this point, I feel like Melania in the bedroom. I just want to get whatever's going to happen.
Every time Trump gets into a spat with a celebrity, the universe collectively sighs and asks the same question. Is this some strategic move, or is he just physically incapable of letting anything slide? His reaction to Maher's joke follows the same predictable pattern. Does it ignite his base, proving he's still the king of the counterpunch, or does it just make him look like a billionaire who takes late-night comedy as seriously as a Supreme Court ruling? For years, Trump has thrived on public battles, and his clashes with celebrities have been a cornerstone of his brand. His supporters love it. They see it as him standing up to the Hollywood elites, the so-called liberal media, and anyone who dares mock him. It feeds into his carefully crafted image as the anti-establishment fighter, the guy who never backs down, even when the fight is over something as trivial as a joke. In their eyes, every feud reinforces the idea that Trump is one of them, perpetually under attack by out-of-touch coastal elites who wouldn't survive 5 minutes in a Walmart on Black Friday.
Because it's hard to bring up the 10 Commandments when your candidate spent his life breaking all of them. Trump's commandments are like the regular commandments with LOL at the end. Adultery? Check. Cursing?
Listen, you motherfuckers.
Check. Stealing? Check. Bearing false witness?
Wrong.
Check. False idols? Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing. There's a limit. Even for his most die-hard fans, there comes a point where the endless outrage cycle starts to feel less like owning the libs and more like watching your uncle get into yet another Facebook argument with a stranger. The problem with constantly responding to every perceived slight is that eventually it stops making you look like a tough guy and starts making you look fragile. And if there's one thing Trump hates, it's looking weak. This is where the long game gets complicated. There's no doubt that his reaction, whatever it may be, will dominate headlines, fuel late-night monologues for another week, and send Truth Social into an all-caps tailspin. But is that good for him? His most infamous celebrity feuds have been a mixed bag. His attack on Meryl Streep as one of the most overrated actresses in Hollywood was so absurd that it became comedy gold. His obsession with Alec Baldwin's SNL impression only made Baldwin's performance more iconic. Even his war with Rosie O'Donnell, which predates his political career, was so relentless that it became part of his persona.
A man who loves to say, nobody loves the Bible more than I do, but when asked, couldn't name a single passage. Even Sarah Palin said, oh, for fuck's sake, it's not a newspaper. Trump tried to quote scripture once and called 2 Corinthians 2 Corinthians. As in 2 Corinthians walk into a bar. He also once accepted Jesus Christ as his personal Lord and Tailor.
The thing is, every time he engages, he hands the other side more material. By responding to Maher's joke, he's doing exactly what Maher hopes for. He's keeping the joke alive. If Trump ignored it, it might disappear in a few days. But if he rages about it, it turns into a full-blown cultural event. Memes flood the internet. TikTok explodes with reenactments. Twitter is flooded with hot takes. And late-night hosts line up to take their own swings, knowing that Trump will probably give them even more material by responding to them too. It's an endless cycle, one he never seems to learn from. And let's talk about the optics. Trump's entire brand is built on strength, dominance, and always being the biggest figure in the room. But if you're the former president of the United States and you're dedicating your time to ranting about a comedian who really looks small, at what point does the fighter narrative morph into guy who can't take a joke? If his base truly believes he's the right person to handle world affairs, how do they justify him spending hours on Truth Social melting down over a punchline?
Trump is crazy and stupid, but he's a criminal, and he's crazy, and he's stupid. And crazy and stupid are two different things.
When you say crazy, what do you basically?
Okay, let me give you an example. Stupid is like Self-Bomber is literally invisible, or nobody knew health care was hard to solve. That's just stupid. He's very stupid. Crazy is like, or thinking I can somehow charm Kim Jong-un in Korea, although that might be stupid. Sometimes it crosses the line between both. But he's both stupid and crazy, and he's a criminal. He's charged with actual crimes. Criminal intent to obscure, I forget what the actual name of the law is, but criminal intent to basically steal the election or to coerce people in the states from I forget what it is.
Of course, the internet has its own role to play in this. The moment Trump fires back, social media will explode. His supporters will jump in to defend him. His critics will gleefully pile on. And before you know it, the entire saga will have its own hashtag. The Streisand effect will be in full swing. His outrage will ensure that millions of people who never even saw the original joke will now be watching it on repeat. It's a self-inflicted PR disaster, the kind that Trump seems incapable of avoiding. And yet, does any of this actually matter? The news cycle moves so fast that today's controversy is tomorrow's forgotten headline. Maybe Trump's reaction will dominate social media for a week. Maybe it'll just be another blip on his long list of public tantrums. Maybe in a few days, he'll be too busy feuding with a fast food mascot or claiming credit for inventing Google to even remember why he was mad.
Jesus Christ as his personal Lord and Tailor. Trump has nothing in common with Jesus, who was from the Middle East. Trump wouldn't even let him in the country. Jesus healed the blind. Trump mocks the handicapped. Jesus turned the other cheek. Trump grabs your pussy. Jesus turned water into wine. Trump just whines. The Bible says, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Trump says, fine, what about my daughter? He did. He's the devil.
But here's the real kicker. Does this actually help Trump in the long run? Does this strengthen his brand? Or is it just another reminder that he's more preoccupied with comedians than policy? His most loyal supporters will stick with him no matter what. But what about the undecided voters? The ones who might be willing to give him another shot, but don't exactly love the idea of a president who treats stand-up comedians like geopolitical threats? In the end, the long game isn't about winning or losing the moment. It's about how many of these moments pile up until they start doing real damage. The problem with always being at war with someone is that eventually even your biggest fans get exhausted. And if the thing you're fighting about is a joke, well, then the joke's on you.